The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of ParaX, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
All these voices. All these voices. All these things you can't explain. All these painful memories. They keep haunting you and daunting me. It's just the ghost of you and me. It's just the smoke and gasoline. It's just the ghost of you and me. Of you and me.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Staring into the Abyss. I am your host, horror author James Hershey Jr., and with me as always, my co-host, old boy James Ash. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing, brother? And I hope everybody's having a good night. How's everybody doing?
Tonight we're going to be talking about all kinds of crazy stuff with UFOs and aliens and the whole deal. The article tonight is going to come from the sun.uk.co, and the headline is, "I want to believe truth about UFOs and aliens could be just weeks away from being released by U.S. in most profound moment in history." It is written by Patrick Knox, and it was published May 10th, 2021. Humanity may be just weeks away from finding out the truth about UFOs and potential aliens, a disclosure campaigner has claimed. Steve Bassett, who has tirelessly worked to end the 74-year embargo of classified information on UFOs, told The Sun Online he believes intelligence agencies are preparing to lift the lid on extraterrestrial encounters. The U.S. Senate Intelligence Committee has asked the Director of National Intelligence to work with the Defense Department to provide a report by June 25th on unexplained sightings by the military. The request came after revelations in 2017 that the Pentagon was researching a series of unexplained intrusions into military airspace, including mysterious objects captured on video stalking U.S. Navy ships. Since then, defense officials have confirmed a number of UFO sightings and even released stunning videos which show unexplained encounters in the sky, now often known as Unidentified Aerial Phenomena, or UAP. And the most recent was confirmed as genuine to the Sun Online last month, with a video and a series of photos showing a mysterious phenomena encountering U.S. warships and fighter planes. Bassett, the executive director of Paradigm Research Group and a lobbyist on this issue, says he believes U.S. intelligence is about to end what he called the 74-year truth embargo. And he said such a release of information may be the most profound moment in the history of mankind. We might finally be about to get the confirmation of the ET presence we have been waiting almost 75 years for. And that's a quote from Steve Bassett. He told The Sun Online, "What is going down right now is extraordinary. This is a really big deal. We may be in the last days of the truth embargo. We might be finally about to get the confirmation of the ET presence we have been waiting almost 75 years for. This would be the most profound event in human history." The term disclosure is often used to refer to the total and final admission by the government that aliens are not only visiting Earth, but the government hides the truth from the public. It is claimed this cover-up started in 1947 when the Roswell Army Airfield, RAAF, distributed a press release claiming they had recovered the remains of a flying disc, which had crashed in the desert. Not surprisingly, the news made headlines across the U.S., but the very next day the U.S. Army suddenly backtracked and released a second statement, claiming the recovered object was actually just a weather balloon. Until recently, the U.S. government denied any aliens were involved and rubbished many other UFO reports, and campaigners like Bassett have been lobbying against the truth embargo. But he said since 2015, there has been a group within the intelligence elite that wants to tell the truth. During the 2016 U.S. presidential election, Democratic presidential hopeful Hillary Clinton was hailed as the ET candidate. And that year she vowed to crack open government files on extraterrestrials, Area 51, and UFOs. Donald Trump won, and this was put on hold. But despite this and the pandemic, Bassett said there was no going back, and people were willing to testify before Congress in the summer. Mr. Bassett told the Sun Online, "The timing of its ending is somewhat dependent on the vaccination schedule. The game plan all along was to get congressional hearings, which we have been trying to get. Now we're going to get it. Why? Because of the standpoint to the military intelligence community and the politicians, there is only one way to disclosure was going to take place. This would see military personnel testifying to the phenomena over many days and a number of committees," he said, "all watched by hundreds of millions of people. He said it would give congressional members who are notorious for being a little too sensitive to their career prospects and how they raise money to hold these hearings. It would eliminate more risk, which I don't think is too great now. Lawmakers on the Intelligence Committee last year voted to set up the UAP task force, and in December gave them a 180-day deadline to produce a report on the strange phenomena caught on camera by U.S. servicemen. And with the U.S. Navy releasing high-profile clips, such as the infamous TikTok video, defense officials have taken the astonishing step to confirm these strange encounters are occurring in the skies over the U.S. Competing theories on the videos continue to rage, with some grounded on Earth claiming the videos capture never-before-seen military aircraft or drones, while others claim it shows otherworldly craft, possibly piloted by aliens. Others, however, are more skeptical and sometimes even dismissive, claiming the bizarre videos may just be camera tricks, natural phenomena, and even outright hoaxes. Documentary filmmaker Jeremy Corbell released the latest round of footage, which was filmed by U.S. Navy pilots and personnel, with perhaps the most startling showing a pyramid-shaped object flying over the USS Russell. The latest strange footage was leaked after it was submitted to the UAP task force. Pentagon officials confirmed the footage was genuine, and Nick Pope, who investigated UFOs for the UK Ministry of Defense, told the Sun Online that the objects may be hypersonic drones, potentially from China or Russia. But he believes even the U.S. government may not know who is behind the mysterious phenomena. Meanwhile, Luis Elizondo, who headed up the secretive Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program for the Pentagon, told the Sun Online that UAPs could represent an intel failure on the level of 9/11 by the U.S. And that is the end of this article. Now, there's a lot to say about this. First of all, the people that say that it's just natural phenomena or whatever like that, those people shouldn't be taken seriously at all. There's no way that a lot of this footage of UFO craft could ever be natural phenomena, because these things have independent motion. They move in ways that no piece of machinery that we have could ever move. And they're capable of making right-angle turns and zipping off at extreme speeds. I mean, this is obviously intelligent flight. This is not some natural phenomena. So those people are either just trying to cover up things, or they just don't know what the hell they're talking about. So I dismiss them completely. Now, the people that claim that what we're looking at is not alien craft, but instead are top secret government aircraft, either from our government or from China or Russia or someplace else, I don't necessarily dismiss those people right out of hand like I would the natural phenomena people, because the technology that our government and other governments possess, that is classified technology, is years ahead of what we have now publicly. So I can't definitively say that every single bit of UFO footage and evidence is not some sort of top secret aircraft. But what I can pretty confidently say is that not every single one of them is some type of top secret government aircraft or military aircraft from some country. That's because some of the footage we have comes from space, where things are moving around. Some of the footage we have comes from military aircraft, where the military has actually scrambled aircraft to intercept these things and to try to see what they were and to follow them, and they zip off real fast. So, in my mind, if these craft were U.S. military aircraft, even if they're classified aircraft, the people who make the decisions to scramble the jets and send them after those craft would know that there was going to be some sort of classified aircraft in the area doing maneuvers or something. They would have to be made aware because they're responsible for securing that airspace. So somebody above them would have called them and said, hey, we're going to be doing maneuvers in this area today, so if you see something, just ignore it. Okay, they're not just going to not tell them anything. So I don't buy the idea that a lot of these things are top secret classified aircraft that we've developed. Because if that was the case, we wouldn't be scrambling jets after it. That doesn't make any sense. They would know that they have it. The public might not know that aircraft exists, but the military would know. And I don't mean the standard everyday, soldier. I just mean the brass, the people that make the decisions to scramble jets and to follow the craft and all that kind of stuff. Those people would know. And some of these pilots who have testified to the fact that they have seen these things and who have released the footage, some of these pilots were test pilots on experimental aircraft. So if these things that they saw were experimental aircraft, you would think that these pilots would know that they were experimental aircraft, if that makes sense. But we have testimony from U.S. Navy pilots that say on the record that there are no aircraft currently in manufacture anywhere in the world by any government, even on the classified level, that can do the things that these things can do. Now, they talked about that famous footage that was released by the Navy where they were following the crafts and then they zipped off. And there was also one that was recently released of a UFO that the military was following, and then it just kind of zipped down into the water of the ocean and went underwater and disappeared. Now that lends credibility to the theory that's been out there for a long time, that aliens actually have some sort of base in the ocean, that they fly their UFOs down into the water and they go to their base down there underwater. That was often thought of as a crazy conspiracy theory for a long, long time. But it kind of makes you wonder, why else would a UFO go underwater like that? Now you could say, well, maybe they just did it to lose the fighter jets that were following them, but that doesn't make any sense, because they've already demonstrated on multiple pieces of footage that they can just zip off at speeds that we can't even get close to matching. So it's not like they're in any danger from us. They could easily outrun us. It'd be like a cheetah worrying about a snail catching it. It's not going to happen. That cheetah is so much faster and capable of just destroying that snail whenever it wants. So there's no reason for them to have to go underwater to avoid us. So there has to be something under there that they were going towards. So is it a base underwater? Who knows? All I'm saying is that would make sense. So I don't buy the fact that a lot of these things are military aircraft. Now, with that being said, I do believe that some UFO sightings are classified aircraft. And that's simply because not every UFO sighting is a pristine, perfect piece of footage where we can see the craft and what it's doing and then it zips off real fast. Some of them are simply just lights in the sky. and they look like some sort of UFO craft. But we don't know for sure what the hell it is. All we know is we have a tiny little bit of footage, or we have a picture of this thing in the sky, and for all we know, it is some sort of military aircraft, either classified or unclassified, because some of the evidence is not very good quality, so we really have no idea. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about from this article. The second thing I want to talk about is I've seen a lot of different articles talking about this very thing, that there is some sort of massive disclosure coming. So is that true? I don't know. But here's what I will tell you. There has been a lot of disclosure already. You had the FBI release a lot of different documents. It's what people are calling the vault. And it goes back multiple years. But there's been multiple dumps of a ton of classified information about UFOs that the government has released. I have the whole vault worth of stuff. I'm going through it. I'm doing videos on it for Paranormal News. And we're just kind of checking them out as we go, but there are a lot of these documents. So there's already been disclosure there that proves beyond a shadow of a doubt from the FBI's own documentation, their own reports, that aliens exist, that UFOs exist, that they have recovered bodies from crash sites. That is 100% verified. We had that interview that took place with a Army officer who is retired, where he claims that, well, he was at Roswell. He doesn't have to claim he was at Roswell. He was there. That's documented. But the claim is made in the video that he recorded that he actually saw an alien body at the crash site. He said that it looked like a 10 to 11-year-old child, like that was the size of it. And he recorded this video where he gave this information. I believe it was back in 2000. And he signed an affidavit that talked about it as well before he died. And with all the stuff that's coming out now, they are releasing that footage. The guy's name was Walter Hout, and he was an Army Airfield First Lieutenant. And he was at the crash site in Roswell, New Mexico. He has signed an affidavit to that fact and done a video where he talks about that. That information is out there for you to find. He died in 2005, and he signed the affidavit before he died. And he made that video in the year 2000, like I said, and his friends Dennis Balthazar and Wendy Connors had the video. And they decided to release it now because the Pentagon has been releasing all those UFO documents. So they said, well, it's a good time to go ahead and get this information out since this is all kind of being released now. So we have that recently got released. We also have the footage that the Navy released of them chasing a UFO. And then we had the Navy admitting that it was a UFO and it was real. We had the report that a pilot of a passenger jet saw a UFO and that fighter jets were scrambled to come and see what the hell it was. And then when asked about it, the airline in question, which I'm not going to mention their name, but the airline in question put out a statement that said that they weren't going to confirm or deny it, that you needed to talk to the government. And then the government came out and said, yeah, it was real. It happened. So we have that disclosure. So as you can see, there has been a whole bunch of disclosure that has already happened. The U.S. Navy has come out and admitted that UFOs are real. They said, hey, this thing was a UFO that we were chasing. We don't know what the hell it was. It wasn't one of ours, and it wasn't one of our enemies. It comes from another planet. We don't know what the hell it was. So they've admitted it. You have the FBI that released all those documents that have admitted that UFOs are real, aliens exist, we recovered bodies. The Pentagon has come out and confirmed that UFOs exist. So really the only thing that's left is for the government to come out and officially say, you know, like either the White House or Congress or somebody to come out and give a speech and say, aliens are real, blah, 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 right? But every other bit of government has already done this. We already know from the military, we already know from the Pentagon that this stuff is real. We know from intelligence agencies that it's real. They've already released the information, is what I'm saying. So we've already had that smoking gun disclosure that everybody wants. It's already happened. I've reported on it on the channel, and we talked about it on this show, and other people have talked about it as well. It's already happened. Will we get an official speech from either the president or top military official or somebody in Congress or something like that? Will we get that speech where they come out and say, aliens are real, blah, blah, blah. We've been in contact with them. This is who they are. The whole nine. Maybe. I don't know. I would imagine if they saw some sort of political gain in doing it, that we would get that. Because, I mean, in reality, that's what it all boils down to with politicians. It's not about truth with a lot of them. It's not about the good of mankind or any of that crap. It's about raising money and getting reelected and keeping power. That's really what it boils down to. So if they see a benefit in doing it, I'm sure they'll do it. If they don't, maybe they won't. But either way, the disclosure that everybody's waiting on has already happened. All you have to do is pay attention to the news. Recently you had CNN do a report on UFOs and aliens and talk about how they were real. And they actually even tied it into that, and this is absolutely insane, but I have to talk about it because it really cracked me up. You had them talking about UFOs and aliens and the idea that an alien civilization might preemptively attack us on Earth because of climate change. That's what they were talking about. Their theory was that because of climate change here on Earth, that aliens would see that as some sort of threat to the good of everyone, and they would preemptively attack us and wipe us out because we're ruining our own planet. Which on its face is just stupid. It makes no sense. Okay, let's pretend for a moment that climate change is real and they're 100% right about all that, right? Let's just pretend that that's the case. Even if that was the case, and even if it was 100 times worse than it actually is, it still wouldn't matter. Why would an alien civilization give a damn if we destroyed our own planet? How does that affect them whatsoever? It doesn't. Climate change on Earth would have absolutely no effect on another planet. So to try to use that to make some stupid political point is dumb. I mean, that's just point blank. It's dumb. And I mean, I'm sure that'll upset some people, but it is what it is. It's stupid. And anybody that believes that is silly. Because there's absolutely no way those two things could connect in any way. It was a cheap way to use a popular thing that's going on right now with UFOs and everything to try to push a political narrative, and it was dumb. But you had them talking about it on CNN. You had ex-President Barack Obama give an interview. And he said that UFOs were real and that they don't know what the hell they are. Now, I'm paraphrasing, obviously. He didn't say that he don't know what the hell they are. But he said that we don't know what they are. So you have him acknowledging that UFOs are real and that they are not military aircraft. So I don't honestly know what more people need as far as disclosure goes. I mean, I guess you need the president to come out and give that speech. and say, hey, aliens are real. They come to the White House. We hang out. They were in the jacuzzi with me the other night. You know, they're from the planet Nornock, and me and this guy over here were hanging out. I mean, maybe that's what people want and what they need for them to finally understand that this is a real thing. But like I said, every other layer and level of disclosure has already taken place. It's proven beyond a reasonable doubt. It's proven beyond any doubt. Their own documentation says so. They have released the documents. They're there. All you have to do is read them. So as far as I'm concerned, whether or not we get that official speech is neither here nor there, honestly. It would be nice, but unless they're going to come out and say, aliens are real, we have been in contact with them for decades, and they come and visit us all the time, and we know about it, and we've been lying to you this whole time, something like that, I could see a point to it, to having that speech and saying, yeah, you know what, I'm just going to level with you and tell you what the truth is. But I guarantee you it won't happen that way. If it does happen, it will be made up as something that we just discovered. It won't be like they're telling you, oh yeah, you know all that stuff that we told you was conspiracy theory and all that stuff that we told you that if you believed it, you were crazy? Well, it turns out it was all true. There were ships that crashed at Roswell. We did recover bodies. We did reverse engineer alien tech in order to improve our own technology. We did all these things. And we've just been lying about it to you this whole time and ruining the reputation of anybody who dares to tell the truth about it. Because that's the truth. That's what they've actually done. They've been lying to us our entire lives about this. That is the truth. We know that for a fact. It is confirmed by their own documentation. They were lying to us, and they knew they were lying to us. And not only were they lying to us, but they were ruining the reputation of people who were telling you the truth. So if you take anything from this whole situation, that would be the most important lesson, I think, to take. I mean, yes, aliens are real, and that's a big deal. But don't overlook the fact that they've been lying to you your entire life. And if they're going to lie to you about this, when it's so obvious that they're lying, what else are they lying to you about? That's the real question. So before I get too far into the weeds and say some crazy stuff that's going to get people shooting at me, I'm going to throw over to Old Boy and see what he thinks about it. So Old Boy, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, throw it to me so I can get in trouble. Hey guys, how you doing tonight? I totally agree with what James is saying. They've been lying to you forever, so I don't care what they think. I totally believe this has been going on for a long time. Now it's just too obvious. There's too much coming out, too much video of this footage. There's no more way of lying about it. Even other governments are coming out. Trump even made, when he was president at the time, made a comment. He didn't believe it, but he think there's possibility there is, and they're probably he just didn't want to say nothing yet. A lot of presidents, he's not the only one. You know, like he said, Obama said it too. So did Clinton. Like he was saying, Hillary was going to bring it out, but a lot of stuff happened with COVID and all this other stuff was going on. You know, the last couple of years have been crazy, guys. But they're already coming out with videos saying the Navy's already admitting it. The Air Force is admitting it. But like I said, they're just gently getting you ready for the truth. They're not going to like James said, they're going to tell you something different. We just found this out a couple years ago. No one's going to believe it. They've been knowing it for probably a couple hundred years. They're just finally coming. Excuse me. It's finally coming out. It's just too hard to lie about it anymore. You can't keep lying about it. There's too many videos. There's too much stuff. All these people saying these are fake. And I'll give it, some of these videos are fake, but there's just too much now. Like, we don't have this kind of technology, guys. It's just not happening. Stuff that flies one place to another in different circles and different square and just disappears in a split second. It's not happening. We don't have it. So It's about time it comes out. And the only thing that's sad is, like James, they have discredited all these people for years, for 50, 60, 70 years since Roswell and all this. They said everybody was lying and it was a weather balloon. Remember, guys? And it's not. There's too many people that said it. And that general came out and finally, after he died, and let everything come out. Now they're finally going to release stuff because they don't know how people are going to react. When they finally admit, they slowly do it in waves. Like James is saying, they'll say it, oh, this was seen, and they'll say it under the breath, and they'll make something else out of it. But they're slowly getting you ready for it, because eventually that's going to change everything. If people find out that aliens exist, it's going to change everything. And people are going to trip and not react right. Oh, they're going to attack us, just like James said, or they're making up all these crazy ideas with climate control, and they're going to destroy us. Dude, if they want to destroy us, they're going to do it. It ain't going to do nothing to do with the climate. Trust me. I don't care what you believe in. They could do whatever. They could do stuff like they could go to one side to the other, and ships can disappear in a second. You don't think they can take care of us? They don't have to worry about that. They can do what they want. They've been doing what they wanted. There's so many stories of aliens, Antarctica, the moon, Mars, everything. We hide stuff because we don't know how to deal with it. Just like paranormal, they know about it. All these weird things that come out, creatures, they know about it. They're just never going to admit that yet. That's coming next. But aliens it's just too much. There's too many. Eventually, it's going to happen. They're going to come tap dancing at somebody's door, and people are going to finally know, oh, we're not alone. And not all of them are nice. Not all of them are bad. Not all of them are all good. Some are awesome. Some probably hate us. But I'm going to tell you, it's going to change everything. And I don't think people are going to be able to handle it. And that's crazy, because I think people are going to do dumb stuff, flip out, And what I think is going to happen is 10, 15, 20 years from now when it comes out, because I don't think it's going to be now. It's going to be probably a year or two. When they start talking to us, and if they ever do come out and say that, they've been talking to us for years, I don't know how we're going to react. I think that it's not a bad thing. I think that we'll get stuff done that we weren't able to do before. Save people's lives. They probably have stuff way over our technology. They probably they know how to fight diseases. Maybe that's why they're making us learn our own lesson. If anybody ever thought about that, they're letting us control our own fate. Maybe they don't want to get involved. Maybe they help us a little bit, but they want us to change how we are. I think about it. People are usually about greed, power, and money, and jealousy, and all kinds of stuff, and murder, and religion. That stuff doesn't matter probably to them. They're worried about saving the universe, not the world, everything, keeping the species of everything alive, getting rid of disease. And we probably would have got all this stuff if if you don't believe it exists, I do. I'm sorry, they do. We probably would have got all this stuff done. But we're so primitive still. We're still doing dumb stuff. We're fighting over the stupidest things that people shouldn't really care about. We do. We can't even get along about. People are getting beaten up and killed over pizza. And Coca-Cola is better than Pepsi, and the wind's too. It's not that temperature. This is stuff people are fighting over. It's ridiculous. If I was an alien race, I wouldn't want to deal with us. Look at these idiots. We're learning how to break the speed of light, and these people are fighting over Pizza Hut. What's better, deep dish, and they're literally fighting over an Xbox that in 5 years they're going to be another one that's out, and everybody's going to be fighting over that and beating each other up and killing each other. This is what they're worried about. This is sad. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. That's probably what they say. We're not going to help these people. They're crazy. We'll go find some other species somewhere. It's just true. We're so hell-bent of destroying ourselves and everything in sight that's probably what they think. You probably try to attack them. That's how stupid we are. We'll lose that fight, trust me. But I'm telling you, that's going to probably happen. Some government's going to try to go after them, and it isn't going to go well. So all these videos, all this stuff they're doing, they've been doing it for a while. And now they're slowly getting you used to it. More and more stuff's going to come out. And in a year or so, oh yeah, aliens have been around for a long time. We just don't tell you guys. But yeah, it's been probably about 100, 200 years we've been talking, or longer. And they've been helping us with everything. And people are going to trip and not know what to do. And they're going to panic. And you're going to have a lot of dumb things happen too. See, there's what I'm talking about. Anything. People do not know how to react. They want it, like James said, they're ridiculous when they say, oh, this doesn't exist. Those are fake videos. Everything's fake because they don't want to believe it. Because in my opinion, a lot of people are really scared. They don't want to believe it. And when it comes out, you ain't going to be able to lie about it anymore. You ain't going to be able to hide it. You ain't going to be able to hide from it. We're not the only thing in this universe. And I think that's what people are really worried about. They're scared of the unknown. And that's what always happens when people are scared of something. They do dumb stuff or they're ignorant. And they don't want to hear the truth or facts. James and me could fly in a flying saucer outside of somebody's house, and somebody will still say that's fake and it's CGI. We could land it, and they're going to still say it's fake from TV, and they're on their couch. The couch critics, that's what I call them, that say stuff, but they really don't know what they're talking about most of the time. We all know how that goes. So we have that all over the place. That's pretty much all I'm going to say about this. This is. I'm glad we're talking about, because we don't do a lot about aliens, guys. And I've been wanting to do stuff about Roswell and aliens. There's so much stuff going on with paranormal and other stuff that we see. We finally don't get any chances, and we don't really like going there. But this is a really interesting story, and we've been talking about it a lot. And I hope you guys enjoy it, because, you know, I've had a lot of people, when you guys are going to do stuff about Roswell and aliens and reptilians. And we've already done a show about reptilians, guys. So check it out. It's a couple years ago. You guys will probably enjoy it. We've done other stuff about aliens. We talked about the Navy doing the videos, and now there's people coming out, and there's people saying that they've been mixing children and stuff like Alien Nation. You guys remember that show? That's been going on for a long time. It isn't anything new. So I believe it. I believe in a lot of these stuff. I don't believe every video I've ever seen. There's hoaxes everywhere. Trust me. I believe maybe 1, 2 out of 10 are real. Maybe 20 out of 100. Maybe 20,000 out of 1,000,000. But I believe they're legit. A quarter of them, a little less. I think a lot of people just want to be famous, just like with everything, like paranormal field and music industry, movies. Everybody just wants to be famous, and that's why now it's saturated. If you look, everybody's doing a paranormal or crypto show or UFO, and every channel's got some kind of show ongoing. So that's just what's going to happen. We knew that was going to happen, guys. So let us know in the comments what you think. Tell us what you think. Do you think aliens exist? Tell us your opinions on the comments. We also have James made a new Staring the Paranormal News thing on Facebook. It's for all evidence and all that. Just tell us what you think. Leave the evidence there and tell us anything paranormal, crypto, even aliens. I would love you guys to comment about the show. But if you're going to do it, just tell us what you think. Tell us what you think. Is it they've been hiding from us for years? I do. But there you go, James. That's all I got to say, brother.
There are a lot of things that exist that have been labeled as either conspiracy or make-believe or fairy tale or whatever. And a lot of times when we do one of these shows, people think that we're nuts. I mean, they think we're crazy for believing some of the things we believe. But one thing we always do on Staring is we provide the evidence. Whenever I talk about one of these things, I will read you either an article or I will go back and present to you the documentation that proves what I'm saying. I'll tell you my sources, where I got the information. Whether it's like on that one we just did on the Bell Witch when I was talking about the census records show that Kate was alive, not dead. When a lot of people were saying that she was dead and it was a ghost. I tell you the actual source material I use to make the determination. So one thing you can definitely say about staring into the abyss is when we talk about these subject matters and when we say we believe they exist, it's based on evidence. There are a lot of things out there that people talk about that aren't real. But when we say that we believe something is real or that there is evidence that something is real, that is because there is evidence. And you could have grown up your whole life thinking that aliens were not real, or thinking that ghosts were not real. But you have to come at every subject matter with an open mind. And you have to say, okay, here is what they're saying. Let me look at the evidence of that. So in this case, aliens are real. Where is the evidence for it? So then you start looking at people that were actually at the Roswell crash, that have sworn affidavits and went on the record with interviews saying that there was a body recovered there. You have multiple agencies of the federal government, the FBI, the Navy, the Air Force, the Pentagon, that have come out and said aliens are real, UFOs are real. And they have provided evidence. They've provided footage of the actual spacecraft, and they have told you it's real. The FBI has provided thousands upon thousands of separate FBI documents that were unclassified. They were classified, they declassified them and released them, in which they talk about UFOs being real. They talk about aliens. They talk about recovered crash site bodies. They talk about communication between aliens and us. That is their own documentation that has been declassified, that is proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that these things exist. When we talk about ghosts, we are basing that on our own experience and on thousands of photographs and audio and video recordings that have captured the paranormal phenomenon. It has captured ghosts, it has captured voices, it has captured all kinds of weird stuff that there is no explanation for. So when we tell you these things exist, it's because there is evidence proving that they exist. Now, if I'm talking about some old legend from way back when, and there is zero documentation that proves it, I will tell you right off the bat, there's zero documentation that this exists. This is an old legend. And this is what the legend says. Going back to the last show we did again, when we talked about the Bell Witch, in the very beginning of that episode, I told you right from the get-go, this is based on oral legends that have been passed down. But it also has documentation backing it up. And I told you the legends and the oral traditions. I told you what was said. And I told you the actual documentation that was backing it up as well. My point in all this is to simply say that there are a lot of people that do not believe that any of this stuff is real. But those people have not looked at the actual evidence. They have not done the research. They are not out there in the field doing the work. So what they're basing it on is just the idea that it is so out of the ordinary that it can't possibly be real. Now, what they used to say was, well, aliens can't be real, otherwise the government would have told us it was real. Well, now the government's telling you it's real. What they used to say with ghosts is, well, ghosts aren't real. Scientists haven't said they're real. They said they're not. Well, I've covered on Paranormal News several scientists now that have come out and said that the soul, the human soul, is 100% real, and they can prove it. They have said that death is not the end, that your spirit goes on in an intelligent form that can even communicate with the living. I covered the articles from the scientific journals and the magazines that provided all the information and all the documentation that proves what they're saying. So now you have science saying, or at least some scientist saying, ghosts are real. The human soul is real. Over and over and over again, we have that happen. No matter which thing you want to look at, if you want to look at Bigfoot, if you want to look at Nessie, all that stuff. In each one of those cases, you have video footage, you have photographic footage, you have audio of the different yells and stuff like that take place. You have footprints that they've made plaster casts of. You have plaster casts of the footprints which have defined dermal ridges on the bottom of the foot. Now, what a dermal ridge is it's just like a fingerprint on your finger. Primate species have a certain pattern that forms on their feet as dermal ridges, just like our fingerprints. And these plaster casts that they've made of the footprints in the dirt have dermal ridges. So unless you're going to tell me that somebody took the time to make a print on the ground with some big piece of rock or something shaped like a foot, and they pressed it real deep and heavy so that it would go down far, and then after that they took the time to go in and very finely sculpt out all of these little dermal ridges all over the footprint in different patterns like they're supposed to be that match up with the dermal ridge patterns of primate species that we know about. That they took the time to do that for every single print. And that they did that not only at one location, but at multiple locations all over the world. That's the only way that Bigfoot isn't real. That those plaster casts don't mean anything. That is something that is impossible to fake. I would venture to guess that the majority of people listening right now either A, don't even know what the hell dermal ridges are, or B, if they do know what they are, it's because they've heard me or somebody like me talking about them. But I guarantee you that you couldn't look at the different dermal ridge patterns and tell me what species of primate it comes from. So how would they know to, whoever is out there, quote unquote, hoaxing these footprints, how would they know how to draw the dermal ridge patterns and make them perfectly match the dermal ridge patterns of different species of primates? How is that possible? I mean, nobody short of a professor at a college somewhere that studies this kind of stuff would even know what that dermal ridge pattern looks like. And I'm pretty sure that the one or two people in the world that could do that aren't out there somewhere in the mud drawing out dermal ridge patterns. But see, that's the problem. People don't know what the hell they're talking about, but they keep talking about it. They keep telling people that they're wrong and they don't know what the hell they're talking about. They keep saying, oh, Bigfoot's not real, or ghosts aren't real, or this isn't real. What are you basing that on? You have no idea. When you have people that have spent their entire lives doing this stuff telling you, you ought to shut up and listen. Whenever there's an expert in a field that it does this all the time, that tells you something, and you've done zero research, you shouldn't tell that person they're wrong. That's my point. And I'm not saying that about me. I'm saying that about these people that are showing you that the dermal ridge patterns are on the prints. They're saying, look, you know, I'm talking about it on the radio. I'm not the one that discovered the dermal ridge patterns. That information was pointed out by actual professors that study primate dermal ridge patterns. Now, I can't look at a different dermal ridge pattern and tell you that that's primate and that's not. But these professors can, and I can tell you that there are dermal ridge patterns all over that footprint. So what does that tell you? The main problem is, like Old Boy said earlier, that people aren't going to be able to handle the information. I don't believe that's true. I believe that it's going to be released and nothing's going to happen. Nobody's going to give a damn. Because either you believe it or you don't. The people that believe it have known it for a long, long time. And they've known the government's lying about it. So when the government comes out and says, yeah, this is true, they're going to say, well, no, of course it is. We already knew that. The people that don't believe it, very few of them are going to change their minds. I don't think that there's going to be a whole lot of people that are going to be just blown away by this revelation that, oh my God, aliens are real. Of course they are. We all know that. I mean, I'm sure there's some people out there that are going to look at this and say, wait a minute. Oh my God, aliens are real? That's crazy. But if you're one of those people, it's just because you haven't been paying attention. They've been releasing this stuff for a couple years now. They've been coming out and telling us that it's real, telling us that all this stuff is happening. So there's really no surprise here. So that's about all the time that we have. I'm going to throw it back over to Old Boy and get his final sum up and the shout out. So go ahead, brother.
Thank you, brother. I want to thank everybody on Parax Radio every Sunday nights for listening to us. You guys want to hear all our old videos and new videos, go to James Hershey Jr.'s YouTube page and subscribe. There's also a James Hershey, but he spells it different. He's a singer, so don't get the two confused, because James and them don't look like each other, because James is bald and the other guy's a singer. Has that singer look, you know, slick back hair and all that. So that's not James. But just remember, guys, subscribe, listen to all our old and new shows. I want to thank you guys for listening to us for the last, almost 4 or 5 years we've been doing this. So we're really appreciating you guys. We love you guys. You guys want any merchandise? You can get masks, covered mask, and shirts and all kinds of cool stuff. He'll tell you where to go after that. I just want to tell everybody have a good week, good weekend. The end of May is coming, so it's going to be another June. So summer's almost here. That's crazy. So everybody have a good night. Misfits, sugar ladies, monster lovers, and demon hunters. I love you, and blessed be, and have a great night.
I tend to get a little bit fired up sometimes about these kind of subjects because I get tired of constantly arguing with people that don't know anything about what they're trying to argue. So I want to say at the end of this show that when I am talking about the people that don't know what the hell they're talking about and all that, I am not talking about you that is listening to the show. If you are somebody that listens to this show all the time, then you know all of these things that I've been saying tonight. You've heard me say them on a bunch of different shows, and a lot of you are really knowledgeable in the field. The people that I'm talking about are people that are not regular listeners that happen upon the show, or they see a Facebook post or something like that, and they have to put their 2 cents in and argue, and they don't know what the hell they're talking about. So I wanted to clear that up because I don't want you guys to think that I'm talking about you or pissed off at you in any way, because that's not the case. You have to understand that when you are a public figure, in a way, it's kind of different for you. I'm sure that if you've ever put anything controversial on your Facebook page or anything like that, you've had to argue with idiots. That's just the way it works. And I'm sure you understand how frustrating that can be sometimes. Now imagine if you're speaking instead of just to 1,000 or 2,000 people or whatever is on your friends list, but instead you're talking to however many hundreds of thousands or millions of people that end up hearing one of our shows. You're talking to that many people, and then imagine the amount of arguing and stuff you have to do that gets magnified. And then there's another layer of when you are a public figure, people don't realize sometimes that you are also a human being. You're a person. And they think that they can just be as mean as they want. And you get that a lot. And it's kind of crazy sometimes. So I just want to give you a little insight into understanding why me and Old Boy sometimes get a little cranky about things. Because believe me, if it's something that we're mentioning on the show and talking about, it's probably something that we've had hundreds of arguments about with people outside of the show. So just so you get a little bit of insight into the kind of the backstage thing. So now for the shameless plugs, the YouTube channel is youtube.com/James Hershey Jr. That's where everything is. You got Staring, you got Paranormal News, you got the episodes of Tales, you got all kinds of stuff on there. Hundreds and hundreds of videos, 100% free. Please go subscribe and enjoy. The merchandise store is teespring.com/stores/staring into the abyss. That's where all the merch is. If you want shirts, if you want hoodies, if you want posters, you want pillows, blankets, all kinds of stuff. That's where all that is. If you're into merch and you want some Staring merch, that's where you can find it. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with us again this week. I want to thank you for all of your support over the years. We've been doing Staring for about 4 years, I think now, something like that. And there's a lot of you that have been with us since the very beginning. And we just want you to know from the bottom of our hearts that we love you and we appreciate you. So with that being said, we're going to wrap up and we will catch you on the next one. Until we speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do we. Bye-bye.